Hello and welcome to another episode from, of course,
China.
my name is Fernando and this is
Ziv.
And today we have with us Rachel Winkle. Did I
Hi,
say that right?
guys. Yeah, that's right. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I can't even do it well, so you're good.
All right, so Ziv, why don't you tell us something about Rachel, please?
So Rachel was born in Hong Kong and spent most of her childhood in the mainland after her parents moved here in 2002, right?
Yes.
She attended Chinese public schools in Dongguan for most of her childhood, except 1 year in international school.
Mhm.
And she studied international business and economics and then law in Xiamen University, still studying law, I guess,
Yes.
for masters. And the last couple of years, she became a KOL on
KOL?
Chinese social media with
Sounds
over
weird.
1 million followers. And she's fluent in Mandarin, Cantonese, and English
Yes.
with one word in German, I think.
What was it? The
9. Because
Nine,
people ask me
nine.
if I speak German, and I just say 9.
Hey, Rachel.
All right.
How you doing?
I'm really good. Yeah.
Okay, so for a person like me who doesn't know much about this, what's a KOL? What does that stand for, and what does it represent?
Should I? Okay, I'll take it away. KOL is a key opinion leader. It's basically an influencer.
All right.
So yeah, someone who influences someone else into buying stuff, I guess. Is that?
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a big thing for a foreigner to be a KOL in China. I mean, it's not that common.
Yeah, I mean there are few, but there are like the few that they're quite big. So like million, 2 million, 3 million followers. So there are a lot of foreign KOLs that do really well here.
People in the West, they don't really, when you tell them KOL, it's like, what?
Yeah, it's
They don't
just
know.
think YouTuber or vlogger. That's easy.
Yeah, or influencer, right?
Influencer
is like
I
the
mean,
most
which
common
is
term.
funny because it's in English, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's like some weird acronyms
Yeah.
that go around.
Right.
I wonder who
Alright.
came up with that though.
Some marketing person. So which platforms are you on, and why did you choose those specific platforms?
Okay, so I started off on Weibo, and Weibo is basically the first kind of platform in China. I would describe it as like a YouTube and Twitter combined. So you can just post text, or you can also post like just video. Do you need help, Addie? Are you okay? I think the whole board. Sorry, I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay.
It's all right.
Yeah, so I'm sorry about that. So Weibo is basically a platform that's similar to Twitter and YouTube combined, and that's one of the first platforms that I started on. And I remember posting my first video, and it just flunked. Like I got like 10 views, and that was it, and there was nothing else to it. And then my
When was
sister,
that? What-
was, I think actually I get a notification every day. I think that was more than 700 days ago because I
So-
just thought it was like
2 years.
700. Yeah, 2 years
To
ago.
1 million followers. Wow.
2 years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's when I first started, and
That had 10 views.
had 10 views.
But now,
But then
that-
it completely flunked. And then my sister was like, "Hey, why don't you check out this platform called Billy?" I'm like, Billy? Like it
Yeah,
always
it's a
sounds
funny
like some
name.
weird.
yeah.
And so. And in Chinese, the nickname for it is B Station. And so I just kind of logged on and I was like, what is this? A bunch of anime stuff. And I was like, well, it can't hurt. And I posted it and it got 200 views. And I was like, ooh.
Ooh, multiplier.
Ooh.
That's like a YouTube, right? If
Yeah.
you had to compare it to something.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
like
for
YouTube.
Bilibili is
sure.
more like YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, so you do get like a feed where you're allowed to post like photos and text, but it's not as promoted, I would say, as Weibo is as far as that function.
And you can use it and you can read Chinese.
Yeah. So actually, like a really cool fact about Bilibili, if you guys are curious, like so Bilibili started off being a animation platform. So a lot of people who create their own animations would post it on. So they would like create it themselves, and then what follows after animation would be cosplay. So people started
Right.
doing cosplay on it, and then cosplay turned into makeup, and then it turned into games and
And
you
lifestyle
know,
and other things.
And
it
now it's
just
everything.
expanded. Yeah, it's everything. So that's why when you open up Bilibili, like it looks a little bit
Yeah, it does. It does look like that, but I didn't know this.
Yeah. So that's how
interesting.
it built up. Yeah.
So what's your niche? What's your channel
what's your
about? Or how
videos
did you
about?
start? I mean, what did you start shooting?
Okay. So my first ever video was a makeup tutorial. And yeah, I'm now thinking about it. It's hard to like look back, but that's where it started. And I used to just film in my bedroom, all these makeup tutorials, reviewing all these products. And then one time I did a Christmas vlog, and a lot of people liked that. That got like a really good amount of views, but more so it was like really engaging to my audience. So I started doing vlogs and makeup. And then I would turn on to doing, let's say, cooking some random stuff. Like
when you started, when you did the first video, just when you released the first video, did you have any idea you wanted this to become a career? You wished for
I
it, or you didn't
wished
even?
for
You
it.
wished for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I didn't know the scale. You know, I
Yeah.
think from the outside, anyone looking at a YouTuber or like just thinks it's like so much fun and look at them going to these events and getting all this PR.
Right,
You know, that's what you see from
That's
the
what you
outside.
dream about.
Like
Yeah.
the 200 views, you were happy.
Oh yeah, I was happy. And then
Okay.
now it's like I get 200, like 20,000. I'm like, meh. Like no, 100,000,
It's like,
200,000. I'm like, oh,
what's
okay.
what's the most you got now?
Like
video?
10 million on one of the
Yeah.
on Weibo.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the first video that you posted. I mean, when you go back and look at your first videos, how does that make you feel? What do you wish you'd done different? I mean, what do
So
they mean to you when you
Probably
go
a
back and
lot.
look at them? Like,
yeah,
oh
I
my
do.
god!
Yes.
I cringe. I cringe.
Yeah.
And like that's actually the first video I ever posted. There was a video that I filmed and did a whole thing on, and I
before.
never posted it.
Okay.
I just couldn't. I spent like I would say like 5 hours filming it, and then I would say like a week editing it every day, like 10 hours a day editing this thing. Finally finished it, and I looked at the whole thing. I'm like, there's nothing else I can do. And I just decided to delete it. And I never posted it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people don't see.
I know.
that
They don't
goes
That's
see
what it
that.
behind.
takes, I think. That's what
Yeah,
it takes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but now looking back at my first video, I'm like, gosh, Rachel, you should learn about lighting.
And how long it took you until you released the second video?
Oh, I would say like 2 weeks later.
Okay.
Because I was a bit naive. Like now I know you gotta have some stock. You
Like
gotta have
how often is it
you gotta-
now?
Like now it's 4 times a week. I
Right,
try. Like
right.
sometimes I would do 5 times a week. Like low would be 2 times a week.
How much time do you spend? I mean, I understand that when you start, it takes
Yeah,
longer, but
yeah.
right now, like nowadays, how much time do you invest in this?
Every waking second. I mean, it's funny to say, but it's like I would watch a movie and think, wow, look at that editing. Like, oh my gosh,
It's
what's
like-
this background music? I wonder how loud that background
Yeah.
music is to
It's
the
like
voice
you
ratio.
are a business owner.
Yeah.
And the business is you, but
Yeah.
you're a business owner, and that's
Yeah.
what business owners do.
And so
They-
that's why I think that this job is so amazing, because it just naturally eliminates who aren't in it for the long run. You know, because it's so testing, and you gotta really love it, and you gotta really know what you're
Right.
doing and enjoy it, because it will consume you.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were talking earlier about motivation, the motivation to
Yeah.
start. When you got started, were there other makeup people on Bilibili, or were you like
There
the
was-
first one?
Yeah, I would say 2 years ago was when beauty started kicking off.
Uh-huh.
So as far as Bilibili goes, so I would say I was probably right in the middle before it hit like right now where it's super saturated. So
Mhm.
like I was probably in the middle, like kind of
To catch the
riding the
wave.
wave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's like a lot of people every day. There's like new person popping up. So it's hard. It's really competitive. But yeah, I think I was just starting to ride the wave when I first started.
For all those people that are starting right now, and some of them that are already like riding the wave, what's your strategy? Because we were talking during the preparation that there is a strategy to handling social media.
Yeah.
Right.
And Chinese social media is different from Western social
Yeah.
media. So for those out there who are trying to get into Chinese social media, what can you share? What would you like to share in terms of strategy?
What's the
So-
important point?
So basically, like what I would want to know before I started,
Yeah.
I would say like my username. So take my username for an example, RachelR星星. And because I studied law, I know a lot about copyright and trademarks.
Right.
Did I apply that to
No.
my username? No, I did not. So why I say that's really important is because you should have a username that you can trademark or copyright.
Right.
So what they do, like a little quick background, is like what they do in China when you apply for a trademark or a copyright, they separate languages. So if you apply in English, like RachelR星星cannot be applied together. You have to apply星星or
So two
Rachel R.
trademarks.
Yeah. So like there's already a girl that has Rachel Ray, which I can't. So I can
She
get
did it
Rachel
after you
R
started or before?
Before. And then I can't get星星because it's a noun that means star. So
Right.
it's like it's just it doesn't make. So whenever I talk to friends that want to, I know I dropped the ball on that. Okay, so now whenever I have a friend that like wants to start, I get like super excited. I'm like giving them all these points. But going back to motivation, it's like I have so many friends that I've spent like 2-hour conversations on, like coming up with a strategy, and they just never do it. You know, so
But
I
why
just-
do you need a
true.
trademark? Let's go into that.
oh, well, let's just say you come out with your own merch.
Yeah.
Or let's just say, so like this one girl, her name is Vivi Cat, quite a popular, I think she has like 2 million followers. And she came out on her channel saying someone stole her name. Someone registered the name Vivi Cat. She has no merch out, no like beauty products out, but that person could sell on her behalf. They can print it
Okay.
on a lipstick and say
Sell it as
Vivi
Vivica
Cat.
lipstick.
Yeah. So like, let's say I stole your copyright and you wanted to come out with like headphones, and I would just sell the headphones and saying, you know, like put your name on it. Your
And you
username.
can, and nobody can do anything about it.
Yeah.
Right. You can just be an asshole,
Yeah.
basically,
But I mean,
because you own the trademark.
yeah, exactly.
Do you have your own merch?
No, I don't. I'm really excited to come out. I think maybe about a year from now, I'll start doing.
So is
my
this a
own.
certain like stepping stone, a certain
Yeah.
level that you want to reach before you do that?
I
What would
would
that be?
say be like more stable and my like get a proper routine and actually get a weekend until I can start taking on more.
But what would you do? You don't have the trademark.
Oh yeah, I don't. So then I would have to come out with like these other names and stuff like that.
Okay, you can
But
spin it off with
yeah,
a different.
Yeah, but
By
yeah.
yeah.
It's good that I can't get the trademark because that means no one else can. You know
Well,
what I
in
mean?
a way, it's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
double-edged sword.
Did you ever contact
silver
that person
lining.
that has that trademark? Or?
Oh no, nobody has mine, but the Vivi Cat one, like the one that the girl announced. A lot of people were like trying to search which company would do that because it's like
Right.
public information,
Right.
and so they got a lot of hate for that.
So what else is important when you start? Before you start, you said the name.
Oh yeah, I think what took me a really long time to learn was that nobody is ever going to care about your channel as much as you do. Nobody's going to knock on your door and say, hey, where's that video you were supposed to post yesterday?
Right.
You know, nobody's going to do that. Nobody's ever going to care about your channel as much as you do. So if you don't care, guess what? Nobody cares. You know, like it's
It goes
the hard
back to
truth.
what you said about you know, you need to really like it and be
Yeah.
consumed with it, and liking that
Yeah.
every waking second.
Yeah.
If not, then you're probably not going to do enough. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, nobody else is ever going to care as much. So like, I can ask my family to show up for my video, but my brother would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I got other plans." So and it would hurt, and I'd be like, "But you know, it's like my livelihood, like my career.
It's your business.
Yeah. But no one else is going to care.
I know exactly what you mean. I do that with my family, and they're like, nobody shows up on my live events.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to ask a little bit about the differences between YouTube and Bilibili, because you said they're similar, but you do your channel in English or
I do it in Mandarin.
in Mandarin?
Yeah, and sometimes Cantonese.
Wow. Okay, so that's a huge thing with the success of your channel, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any Mandarin KOLs or influencer on YouTube?
Yes,
Must
there
be
are
some,
quite a
right?
few,
Yeah,
quite a
there's
few.
that one guy called Xiao Ma, like Mark
Xiao Ma.
something.
Yeah, Xiao Ma. He
something.
follows me and I follow him.
Oh yeah, he was actually on Bilibili. Like he was really popular on Bilibili. I don't know what happened.
Foreigner?
A
No, no,
foreigner. Wasn't he?
Xiao Ma is Chinese.
Really? Then it might be a different guy because
Oh.
it's some guy who's like a foreigner and he speaks Chinese and he'll like go around to Korea, like Chinatown in the U.S. and like try and buy a pair of sneakers.
Right.
Like
No,
I know a
that's not
guy-
Xiao Ma. I think it's a different name.
really? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a kid, a 16-year-old kid. He grew up in China and they moved back to England. His father used to run the magazine in Qingdao, so that's why I know them. And he went back and he's pretty big on YouTube now, speaking both languages. So like
Okay.
you, but like
Yeah.
if you had moved back
Yeah.
home or something. But you're not on those social medias,
You're
right?
not on YouTube.
You're not on YouTube.
I'm not on YouTube. Yeah. Well, I mean, when I finally got interested, I mean, recently, I would say on YouTube, I searched my own name because I was curious who,
Uh-huh.
like RachelR
Should just
星星.
open a channel without
Yeah,
any, yeah.
someone had actually stolen my channel. Like they took my username RachelR星星,
Oh wow.
registered
in-
a channel, and started stealing my content from Bilibili. So they would just
Oh.
record my
Yeah,
content.
Like screenshots.
Yeah,
of-
like screenshot and then like post it onto YouTube.
And they got some good views.
Oh yeah,
Really?
yeah. They got like I think
Wow,
I
I gotta
think
find that.
on
somebody's
YouTube-
making money out of you.
oh yeah, like on YouTube there's like a 200,000 total views on the whole
Okay,
thing, and
okay.
so I don't know how much that would
Yeah.
like get you. as
Probably
far as-
$20,000.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So there's like 200,000.
So you went
views.
that rabbit hole. You,
Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And then I contacted the customer service. So we're trying to still deal with like if I can get the channel back. But as far as I
YouTube,
know,
okay.
yeah, all I can do is register him as being an impersonator, and then the whole account will be
Report.
deleted.
Mm,
And so I had like then I'd have to start from scratch. But
Yeah.
then I'd never put it. I
But I
never
mean,
did
at one
anything from
point,
start.
you said to yourself, "Oh, I should go on all the social media in the world and register accounts
Yeah.
right now."
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
I
who
mean,
knows what?
I know, true. That's really true. But it's like you got to maintain it, and I feel like
True.
I want to try and do it well. You know what I mean?
But you
I
can
don't
just
want to.
register without publishing it, even maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like
That's true.
that,
That's
just
true.
reserve it.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
you
Just
should do
have it
that.
there. I know. Oh,
And it costs
gotta
nothing.
gotta
What
get
about
busy.
there's a lot of competition coming out for Chinese social media platforms. So you got, for example, Douyin. You have
Yeah.
now
Live
WeChat
stream and
has what's it called
Channels, which is
channels.
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 They're trying to
So
compete with Douyin. Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
starting to get into this video live streaming
Right.
or video platforms here in China. Which ones are you on, and which one would you recommend the most? What's the difference between them for
I
you?
think I am kind of biased just because I really do like Bilibili. So, like a real quick background on Bilibili is if you're just new, so like let's just say if you register an account right now,
Hmm.
you are not allowed to like, comment, or I think you're not even allowed to subscribe to my channel, to any channel, because they want to have active and quality followers. So you have to have registered the account and have a certain amount of views within a minutes of views before
Just
you're
to-
allowed
Watch
to be
time.
active. Yeah,
The
watch time.
viewer has to have some watch
Yeah.
time.
So there is like a
Get outta
vetting
here.
system. Yeah. So there's like a vetting system for viewers because
Okay.
they just don't want anybody to
Did
come
they
up and
get to
just
that?
because
Or
yeah, people
was
do.
it from the beginning?
Oh, that was
like
from the
that?
beginning.
Oh,
I would say
okay.
it was
All
from the
right.
beginning. So when I first started, I couldn't like anything, and I would have to just like what you have to do is you also have to do like I would say like a quiz, and then they'll ask you like popular things.
They
like,
don't want fake accounts
yeah, you
or
don't want
like
fake accounts.
robots
And then
and
bots.
stuff like
also
Yeah.
they ask you about they do like a quiz on their community guidelines. So
Uh-huh.
they'll say, what is appropriate to a comment like this? And then you would have to say, oh, report. Okay, well, what would you report it as? Inappropriate racism or, so they have like a training process,
Mm.
like a vetting
That's
process.
interesting.
Yeah, so that's why I really like it because it's really organic. And every month they produce a list of people who have bought followers. And then they will say,
Yeah,
a
that's another
punishment.
thing in
Yeah.
China, right? Buying likes, buying
Yes.
followers. Does this exist, Fernando, on YouTube or?
Well, look,
It
I'm
must.
relatively ignorant in terms of this things because everybody talks about bots, and they say that some Western YouTubers here in China they
Yeah.
buy their followers and the likes and whatnot. I don't. I mean, everybody talks about them. I've never learned really if that's true. I've seen videos of like
Yeah.
1,000 mobile phones
Oh,
playing
I mean, we
something,
we, we
but
run WeChat account. We have more than 10,000 followers, and yeah, I mean, I looked into that because I wanted to know what the others are doing. There were some
Yeah.
accounts in Dongguan, some big
Yeah.
ones. I won't say names.
Oh, yeah,
And-
for sure.
And they buy likes, views, followers. It's
uh-huh.
just not sustainable. It's not. It's
It's
a
not.
finite game. It's not an
Yeah.
infinite game. Which
it's like a musician buying his own records.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
exactly. But it's interesting to know, and it's annoying at times because maybe they're getting a client you're not getting, and goddamn, it's not real.
Yeah.
But
Well, then that's
yeah.
not sustainable.
Right,
Also
it's
like
not sustainable.
you're gonna sponsorships or like brands. They're gonna look for a return in revenue, right? So
Right.
then they
Exactly.
invest in it,
And that's why those accounts are
those
dying
bots
now.
don't buy anything.
They're dying now. So
Look,
yeah.
it's so interesting because a lot of YouTubers suffer with the fact that we get our subscribers cut all the time. Like for example, I would lose 100 subscribers because YouTube argues, "Oh, these are bots." I'm like, how am I supposed to know?
Right.
How do you know? You know what I mean? So what Bilibili does is basically you don't have this issue.
Yeah. Yeah,
So it's a much better
I would say
solution.
Yeah, it sounds good.
you can buy followers, but then they go through like a real big process of like vetting and making sure. So like I said, they'll come out with a list how many suspected followers they bought and what the penalty is. So they'll say 3-month ban, 1-year ban, or
Wow.
the whole account deleted.
Facebook has a lot of kind of fake
Bots,
accounts
yeah.
too.
I totally see that.
It's real people, but they're
Yeah.
paid to
Yeah.
open accounts, right,
Oh,
and
okay.
everything. Yeah.
But that's why I really like Bilibili.
Yeah.
So that's like one of the things that I feel like are like you just can't. It's not so monetized in that way.
What
How
about
do you-
Weibo? Sorry.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
Sorry.
sure.
What about Weibo? You say that before we spoke, and you say that it's
Yeah.
died a bit, but
Yeah.
still, you have
People
a lot of
use it.
followers
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Weibo, right?
I do that as well, and it is great. Just because Weibo has always been there, and it's always been an outlet for like famous people, politicians in China, but as far as like your average Joe, I would say that, I mean, my mom, she will take up her phone, open up her phone, and she'd be like, Rachel, I'm subscribed to you, but I can't see your feed. And
Oh,
it's just like a whole bunch of bot content, like ad
right,
sponsorships, or like,
right. Okay,
let's say you put
it's
in
annoying.
1,000 to your video, one video that
Mhm.
you really liked, and you paid Weibo to promote it, you'll be on recommendations, and it doesn't do it as like posted timeline. So if I posted a video before you, I'm not going to be first on the timeline. It just
It's just
depends
whoever
on,
paid
yeah, exactly.
last. Yeah.
So like
Right.
my sister, my sister Adriana, she's just becoming another vlogger, and she has a Weibo account, and I would say I think she has like 4,000 followers on Weibo. She will go onto her Weibo and check her liked list, like a list of things that she's liked, and it's just a whole bunch of random stuff, like
Oh,
breast implants, like
so
like
it's
some really weird
deceiving.
stuff. So what's happening is, I suspect, is that someone who's buying these followers, like these account that she's liking, has bought a bunch of bots to like her, like their stuff, and Adriana's account is one of them.
Really?
You get what I mean?
Wow,
Yeah.
that's bad.
Because there's two type of fake followers that you can buy. One is what they call is a zombie, which is just someone that's there. They won't like, they won't interact.
Okay.
And then you get a live fake follower that
Mhm.
will like and like do all this stuff. Yeah.
How do you make money on Chinese social media?
Oh
I mean, it's
yeah.
quite different from YouTube. That's as far as I know.
Yeah.
But could you explain some of the different revenue streams that, well, like an influencer could have
Wow.
here in China?
Wow. So I would say, compared to the US, there's not a lot of options. So I know in the US you have affiliate codes, you have YouTube that will pay you for your content, and I think TikTok pays as well. Like
TikTok
I'm not
doesn't. In
TikTok
US,
doesn't
US.
in the
In the
US.
US,
Do
I
they?
don't
yes.
know.
I
Maybe.
don't know. But so let's just use YouTube as an example. They have a really good, I would say, like compensation. Is that
Mhm.
is that how you would say?
Right.
Yeah, for like whatever the like amount of views that you get. But on Bilibili, it's a lot less. So like we have a video that has 500,000 views. You'll get around 1,000
Renminbi,
renminbi. So
which
that's
That
is
in
200.
US
That's,
dollars.
$150.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So YouTube after you
$150.
can monetize would be half a
It
million would be
depends.
$5,000, or it
No, well,
depends.
different videos have different channels also
Ah,
have
okay.
different
So like
rates.
a
For example,
genre.
my channel, which is a very small one,
Yeah.
I get about $10 for 1,000 views. So something with 500,000 views will be $500. Sorry,
5,000.
2,500.
Okay.
So,
But other accounts may get more.
of course, of course. If you
I
take
think
somebody
it's
like Joe
Right.
Rogan, he gets, I don't
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
30, $50 per
Yeah.
1,000
I
views.
see.
Yeah.
So so you have, so Bilibili does pay that,
Yeah.
but much
So
less.
then that's honestly, I mean, I have, I would say, almost 200 million views combined on my, wait, what, I'm not really sure about the specific number. I'd have to check. But I think throughout the 2 years, I've made like 50,000 RMB
50,000
Yeah.
from them directly.
from them directly. 50,000 RMB.
Okay, so that's not.
It's honestly, compared to the amount of hours, my
It's
equipment,
not
and
much.
like,
No, in
it's
2
really
years.
not that
Yeah.
much.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how about, okay, so what else? How can you make
Okay,
money?
so they don't really have affiliate codes in
Right.
China, because like, I mean, that's just going on to like Taobao and like the Chinese version of Amazon. But then you go on to sponsorships. So that's how you would just make your money through sponsorships.
So you mean, okay, so you have a placement, or let's say you do a makeup,
Product placement,
yeah,
yeah.
you do a makeup tutorial and you use their makeup.
So yeah, there's two types, and I think that maybe some viewers won't be that familiar with it. There's two types of sponsorships. One will be a product placement, which isn't a dedicated video. So a dedicated video would be the whole video. I'm only allowed to talk about this one tonic.
Watsons.
Yeah, like Watsons. I'm not allowed to drink a
So
Coke.
it's a video about them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the product.
Dedicated to them.
Okay.
Or a product placement would just be like, I'm having this conversation and I'll
You
just,
just
have
drink.
a sip
So
and be
that's
like, oh
that-
yeah, this is Watson's, by the way. It's not that bad. Like, I mean, I drink
That's
2
less
of them
money.
a week. Yeah, that's less money because it's just a placement. It's not a dedication. So
Because of
yeah.
what you just said, this is not a sponsored video.
No.
It's not.
No.
I wish.
So at what point can you get to start getting sponsorships?
I think that actually goes back to keeping motivated, because you don't just get sponsorships right off the bat.
Mm.
I would say you would have to have around 60,000 to 70,000 followers before you'll even start getting offers. And even at that point, let's just say you're by yourself. Like when I first hit, I think I got my first sponsorship and I had around 70,000 followers. I had no idea what I was doing. This brand was like, so do you want a product placement or a dedicated video? I'm like,
Don't they first ask you, like, I will give you free stuff, not money?
Some of them do, yeah.
Right.
And I would be like, "Oh my gosh, this is great.
Yeah.
I would love,
In the
I would love
beginning,
to,
yeah.
yeah." And
Yeah.
but then you get the free stuff, and they're like, "So when are you gonna post about it?" I'm like, "Wait, I mean, I don't really like your product. I'm really sorry."
Yeah.
Well, we
Yeah.
just gave you a bunch of free stuff. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, so there's strings attached to it.
Right.
I think that the bigger you get, the less they'll kind of bug you on that. They'll be happy that they have your
Mhm.
address and they can send you
I'm
stuff.
really, really interested in this because something is happening to me, and perhaps some of you guys know. I'm getting kind of like suggestion to become a KOL for an electric car brand that I bought, and
Yeah,
I made a video, and it got like boom,
yeah,
really, really big. Right
yeah.
now, it's like my most viewed
How many
video.
views?
Not close to her.
No,
Yeah.
that
No,
like
I'm not. I'm like,
22,000
oh, that's really
views.
great.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's a 40-minute video,
Oh
so
wow.
but
Yeah.
watch time is pew, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they approached me and they want me to do some videos, and I'm like, I have no idea. Same thing. I have no
Exactly.
idea. They've sent
What,
me
how the deal should
a
be.
couple
And
of
yeah.
presents
Yeah.
and whatnot, but there's nothing written. There's no contract. You
Right.
have a
Yeah.
contract. You have an agent.
Oh yeah, I do. But
Okay,
as
can
far
we
as
talk
like,
about that then?
yeah. I mean, as far as like brand to me, like my suggestion would be to definitely get something in writing. So like usually a contract will have, besides like a list of things that you have to say, like that the script, there's like like you would write a script, they'll confirm it. If it's all good, then you'll just film it. But then there's like in the contract, usually the brands will require you to keep it up for 6 months. Like they'll say no deleting the video within 6 months.
Okay.
Because some, I would say,
Why
I
would
don't
people
know.
delete videos?
I don't know.
People do this with moments, even in WeChat. It's very hard to understand the culture, Chinese culture.
Yeah, no, I think I think it happens with like Western bloggers as well.
Yeah?
Like maybe they'll just take a sponsorship and then like maybe a week,
The
2
competitor
later.
comes back and is like, "Hey, how about this one?"
I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Exactly.
Oh, sometimes just people make mistakes. I mean, it happens a lot on YouTube and Chinese YouTubers.
Yeah.
But I mean,
but-
Western Chinese YouTubers, they say something that they shouldn't say, and they
Oh
so
yeah.
go back and
But
So
you're
if-
allowed to replace the video, so you don't have to change the title or the thumbnail. You can just replace the
Oh, really?
MP4. Yeah,
okay.
I
So-
think YouTube allows that as well.
So when you get like 100,000 followers, which is sounds more achievable than a million or two, right? How much money can you make? Like, what is it?
Okay. So I think that goes back to like what platform you're using. So
Mhm.
like, let's say you're using Douyin, which is like TikTok. I would say that the follower isn't worth as much as a Weibo or like Bilibili long video
Right.
platform.
Follower.
Yeah,
100,000
follower.
on Bilibili.
This is
better
so
than
interesting.
100,000 on.
Yeah, because okay, so like as an example that I always love to give is, let's say you have your Douyin open, and within like TikTok open, within 1 hour you can see like 100 videos, right?
Yep.
More like 200
Yes.
videos. If you like just look 10
and you're
seconds,
just like, if not even 10, you
Yeah.
probably got 3 seconds.
yeah, you
Oh,
just
that's
keep swiping. So
yeah.
that's, I mean, you can watch a bunch of people, and you in return will start following more people because you have an hour to film, like about an hour to,
To fill,
fill.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then you could go on to YouTube or Bilibili or Weibo longer span videos,
Right.
and people, what, they have 30-minute, like an hour, they can watch 3 videos, 4 videos in an hour. So that'll mean that they follow less people. And so that's why on these smaller short video platforms, there are so many people who have more than 1 million followers. Like
It's easy
there's like
to
10 million followers, like 100 million followers.
That's
I
crazy.
have a friend
Yeah.
of mine who started like, I don't know, a month ago, and he already hit 1 million views
On
Yeah.
Douyin.
on Douyin.
Yeah.
Douyin, yes. But your
So-
followers are more valuable. That's
Yeah,
what they say.
that's
On Bilibili.
yeah, that's what
Yes.
I would say. Just because they have more patience and like watching all your stuff, and like they're really, what would I say, engaged.
Mhm.
So I would say if you have 100,000 followers on TikTok, you would get somewhere around. I mean, how much would that be? 100,000 on TikTok, probably 1,000 RMB per video.
Okay.
Oh.
Do you need an agent right there, or
No, you wouldn't need an agent.
so
You can
how do you
it
get
solo.
how do you get contacted? I mean, how does it
so
happen?
yeah, you would just put it in your introduction. Like, I mean, you have like a little intro
Yeah.
box there, like a
That everybody see?
yeah, that everyone sees.
Okay.
You go, oh, for like business purposes, contact my email, or they'll also private message you saying, hey, we're blah 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 brand.
And then they just contact you.
Yeah, and then you just go into the negotiation phase.
Right. So in the beginning you did it by yourself.
Yes.
So 2 years ago you started, right?
Yeah.
And the timeline of your followers, right? So can you give us some,
Oh wow. So last year in January, I had 10,000 followers. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 10. I think it was 100,000 followers.
100,000 like
Yeah.
about a year ago, year
Yeah.
and 2 months, or
Yeah. And so then now, I mean, I really just blew up in the past year.
okay.
So now I'm at like 600,000 on Bilibili.
Yeah.
And then like Weibo has around 600,000 as well.
Right. And
So
you
yeah.
do the same videos for both?
Yeah. Sometimes, like, let's just say I get a sponsorship, and also sponsorships, they'll separate it. So they'll say both platforms is like, they'll ask for one platform if they want to test the water. So they'll just
Why,
go, okay,
what
how much for Billy, how much for Weibo, and
what do you
separate
think
it.
you blew up? I mean, you mentioned the term you blew up. Which video was it?
Um,
What was it?
so I would say it's one video where I sat down and talked about different types of foreigners in
I
China.
think I know
You
that
remember?
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Was
was
it
very
about guys?
controversial.
Tell
Guys?
me.
Yes, it was about guys.
Foreign guys.
Yeah, and the different types that are here, like the different kind of, I would say, asshole kind of guys that are here. Like
Right.
you hear the stories of these like foreigners that come here, get a girl pregnant, and then leave, and
away,
then
yeah.
Mm.
yeah. So it was kind of like the kinds of guys that you should watch out for. Like, I mean, yeah.
So watch out for these foreign guys.
Yeah.
That
What
was
would we?
okay.
What kind of foreigners would we be? You know
Oh
us.
my
I mean,
God.
we know
No,
each other since.
So
forever.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that blew up. How many views it has by now?
So that's my most viewed one, the one that I said about 10 million
Okay,
on
alright.
Weibo.
Okay.
And then that is like, I think it's like on like 1.5 million right now on what did I say?
Bilibili.
Bilibili. Yeah.
So now you have more followers. How much? I mean, let's say you have 1 million followers, right? How much money do you get for a dedicated video then?
Oh wow. I would it honestly, I hear this all the time, like it varies, but it does vary.
Okay.
Let's say you're in the tech industry, like in the
Mhm.
tech genre.
Right.
Reviews. And,
Yeah. So, like, let's say you have 1% of the people buy your product, like that you promote. That's a camera.
Yeah.
That's not cheap. That's
Right.
a lot of money in there. But if I'm selling a lipstick and 1% of the people buy my lipstick that
Right.
costs like $5, like that's not as much. And
yeah, it
like,
doesn't
Right.
compare.
yeah. So that's why it does depend on which
Right.
product you're
Makes
selling.
total
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So I would say you could make somewhere between 10% of, and this in RMB. So
Yeah.
like, don't
Yeah.
think US dollars.
Right.
So I would say it would be around 10% of your follower. It would go anywhere from 5% of your followers to 20% of your followers.
Oh, okay.
And 20% would be really high. So like, let's
Okay.
say, yeah, that would be like really high.
You just tease me.
Do
You
you-
talked
do you
about equipment.
Yeah.
What do you shoot with? What do you start with? I mean, because we always had the discussion, right, about quality versus content.
Right. Yeah.
Where do
Oh,
you
yeah.
stand?
Oh, wow. So I used to think quality, quality, quality. I want my videos to be super simple and like really, really nice, easy to watch. And then I saw all these people blowing up and they just had like an iPhone camera. Like they don't care. They just pump out the content and the content's good. People will enjoy
Right.
it. Like they don't care. Like I've seen beauty vloggers with just sunlight and by the end of their video it's like dark and they're still
Right.
trying to do their
And they're
eyeliner. I'm
still
like,
doing well.
what am I doing sitting in 7 lights almost going blind?
7 lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was way when I first started, okay?
So is it more now or?
Oh, it's less. Thankfully.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'd say
But-
that, and you might agree. I'd say the content is more important, but it's good to have the other
But
stuff.
it's, but it's
Yeah.
beauty.
know?
I mean, you're talking about beauty makeup. You really want.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
So what camera do you shoot with? What kind of
Okay.
settings do you use?
So
or?
I use Canon 70D. And I usually shoot on ISO around like 800. Shutter
1080.
speed, yeah, 1080, yeah. And then shutter speed, I keep at 100 just because sometimes if I'm doing vlogs and stuff like that, I'll walk around the house and like the natural light, you'll get
Yeah.
that little shutter. So I just leave it at 100.
What about frames per second?
Oh, sorry.
24
yeah,
or?
24. Yeah, 24.
Okay.
I'm not like, I don't do really fancy stuff. And
And Ziv went, what?
Ziv.
Ziv, sorry.
Well, Fernando, if I did this podcast alone, it would be just
an iPhone.
this.
Now we have
and the front
Sam.
camera. It would
For
be a
sure.
front
And I'm
camera.
not kidding. Yes. But it's like I said, I think content is the most important thing. But of course, it's good to have the other stuff,
Yeah.
quality of the video,
Yeah.
audio. It's very important.
Well, I
if
mean,
possible.
yeah, if anything that I would like to change about the quality of my videos is subtitles. Is that I don't have subtitles now, and because I do my videos in Mandarin and Cantonese, but I do think that it does like help a little bit to have the words down there, especially
agree.
sometimes when I'm laughing and I try to blur out a word while I'm laughing.
Right.
It just
it's hard to
easier to have.
understand.
Yeah,
Yes,
and I think
yes.
it would be a little bit more
Do
inclusive.
other influencers, Chinese influencers, put subtitles?
Yeah, it's actually
all right.
and like that's
so
why I was saying.
time-consuming.
Yeah, it is. But that's why I was saying, like we were talking about how like the quality videos and I just think that you have to be inclusive, and you have to
Right.
have that, like, and in China there's so many people that speak all these different dialects,
Right.
and they might
right.
not understand my particular dialect of
Right.
Mandarin, so it does help.
I think it helps get more people, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt for sure.
Oh yeah.
And do you speak any English in your videos?
Sometimes, like, my mom will show up and my mom doesn't speak. Yeah,
And then you
so-
put subtitle for
yeah.
that?
Oh
Yeah,
my
you
gosh.
do.
And I
Right.
already like, I'm like, okay, mom, that's enough because I don't have time to put in subtitles.
Do people react to that? Like, oh, your mom, you know,
Yeah, they
people
love
react
it.
to
So
that.
also, if you guys do check out
Is
Billy
she on
Billy,
Bilibili?
no, she's not.
Okay.
I'm trying to convince
True
her to
hair.
get a channel.
True hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also on Bilibili, what's really special about it is they have this thing called 弹幕. So you'll show a video, and while you're viewing it, people can comment on that specific sentence,
okay.
that specific second, and it'll float across the screen.
It's like live, but not live.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it'll float across the
Clever.
screen. So it's really interactive. I'll be like, guys, I really don't know. Should I drink a soda water or a tonic water? Like, I'm just going to go with the tonic water, but tell me what you guys would choose. And then you'll just have a float of comments.
I see Fernando's eyes. I think he's going on Bilibili soon.
I tried to figure it out.
So like,
Yes.
I used to hate it, and you have the option to like turn it off and not see it while you're watching videos. But I love it now because I think it's so funny. Like, people actually comment to like so like the most danmu that I ever got on like one screen, and it just comes. It's like a flood of like sudden like ones that like all these numbers, and it was basically I was doing this cooking video where I was like, hey guys, so like I'm gonna follow out these weird life hacks. And so I was like, so I need a can, and like I was like trying to follow the video, and I was like, this can has been expired since 2009. And I was like, I don't know, I found it in like back in the cupboard. I don't know where it's been, but it's been with us, with my family for a while now. And
Yeah.
I'm like, so tell me how old you were in 2009.
Right. So that's
then
cool. Interactive.
It was so interactive.
Yeah.
Like so many people, it was like thousands of like
Answers.
in like.
But it's still not live. Do you
No, it's
do
not
any live?
No, I don't do lives.
Bilibili does have.
They have
live, yeah.
lives,
Okay.
but it's not that I don't want to. It's just like I'm like I have to find my niche. Like I feel like every time I do something, I want to do it well. So I haven't.
I think to
tried.
people to give a reference to YouTube. In YouTube, we have what is called a premiere.
Mm-hmm.
So you record a
Facebook
video,
has
you
that
put
too,
it on,
yeah.
and then people can comment, and you can be there answering and
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to go back to the business a bit. I'm Jewish after all. Yeah. I can laugh at it. You can. Yeah. So do you need to open a company like as
To do
like,
what? Like-
to
To
now you-
monetize, to
yeah,
earn
to monetize to
Oh no, you don't. No, you don't. But Bilibili does charge a personal income tax when you.
so you do pay
withdraw-
tax.
Yeah,
True,
you do. pay
Bilibili
tax.
helps you to
Yeah.
pay tax.
Of course,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything is very
Open up.
That's good,
legitimate.
I guess.
Yeah. So as far as sponsorships, like let's say I do get a sponsorship, I was like, I didn't know, and people were like just sending it to my WeChat money,
Right.
like my bank account, and it was like my personal bank account. And then I started getting a little bit bigger, and the bigger the brands I worked with are like, well, where's your like company account? And I'm like, oh. Wait, I need a company account. But then I have a student visa, which means I'm not allowed to work in China.
Right.
And this is working in China. So I was like, okay, wait, let me get a
figure it out.
company. Like, let me get a company. I can't get a company. And I was like, okay, then I'll register a company in Hong Kong, register a company in Hong
Okay.
Kong. Still have to pay China taxes. It was just
Sure.
like nonstop. It was
Sure.
like a whole.
So there is a consideration there.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's
so
not
they,
just you can just
Oh,
get
yeah.
money. And,
yeah. And it used it, and now I'm pretty sure that there are some people who still do that. Like, and I would still do it if I really didn't care and tried to like not pay the taxes.
Right. Some people. It's
I think
China, of
it would
course.
be, yeah, it would be
Someone will come
easy.
after you.
It would be really easy
course,
to.
China.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Are
would
you
be-
allowed to
yeah.
talk about the brands that you work with, or is there
Yeah,
some kind of
yeah,
disclosure? Or
No, I think that they don't put a non-disclosure. Like that defeats the purpose of me being a sponsor.
Right. right. Yeah. Brand
They
sponsor.
want me to talk about
Brand
it anytime I
ambassador.
want. Yeah.
but you
So-
could talk about brands in other platforms. That's probably was.
So yeah, what other? I mean, like,
What brands do you
who
work
do you
with?
work with the most? or-
Somebody asked me, and I was like, I couldn't think of any off the top of my head. And then I started thinking of
Lord.
a bunch. No,
They're
I
not
worked
paying enough
with-
money.
I know. Like, I'm trying to think of the big ones I've worked at. So I've worked with Watsons. I've actually worked with
Really?
Watsons. Yeah.
Yeah.
yes. They.
This
Hey,
is
we
not a
just-
sponsored video.
we just said it's not sponsored, but I mean, she's getting money, not us.
Yeah, so I worked with Watsons, as in they hired me to do a video where I went to their shop. I know, it's so funny. And sorry. So they hired me to do a video where I went up to their shop and like just like shopped like recommended products that I like from their store.
That's cool.
So I don't know if you guys know, but if you guys don't know Watson's, it's almost like the equivalent of Walgreens in the US. I would say like not Target, Walgreens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there are a
kind
few
of.
Yeah.
And then I've worked with L'Oreal, a bunch
cool.
of like Lux. I've worked with a lot of like hair companies. What else? I can't think of
Mac.
anything. Oh yeah, that Mac. And then I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Is it more difficult to make a dedicated sponsored video than just whatever you want?
Yeah, it is. It is. I
Because
just
there's
feel like
cheap plugs.
yeah, like for example, I've worked with Maybelline and I love Maybelline, but I found that the bigger these brands are, the more specific they are with what they want and the less creativity I would have, which turns into a less of a video that I would have made myself.
What are you wearing today?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Really? Oh, actually, well, I do have this jewelry on. It's from my friend's brand Hayes. So she does sunglasses and she does send me a bunch of stuff. I have way too many sunglasses from that brand. But yeah, so like I do love sponsorships and like I do love working with brands because it's a kind of what I would say is like a very like they how would you say it? Like they recognize me as a vlogger and they recognize my videos and stuff like that.
How much do you treat this as a business? So like, do you have Excels? Do you keep track of the time you're working on it?
Yeah.
Do you keep track of expenses?
Yeah.
How much do you do that, or you're planning to do that?
So my daily life is like I wake up at 8. And I try to do some exercise because anyone who's edited or filmed anything, you know that you're just sitting.
You're back.
Yeah, you're back. You're just sitting hours on end. So I try to get like a little walk going. But then I try to film 1 video a day and then edit at least 5 hours. And then by night, like every Monday, I'll schedule my week because sometimes, you know, if you're filming a video, you need props, right? So you'll get a whole bunch, like you need to buy stuff on Taobao, you need to prepare all of that. As far as like treating it as a business, I do think that I've done quite a good job. I have recently registered a company in China, totally legal. I have registered a company in China, and we are hiring our first staff, and I'm really excited. Yeah.
So for editing, I assume.
What?
For editing, I assume.
Yeah. Yes.
So to get to be popular and make money, you need to work on it. I mean, it sounds like you're working on it. I mean, it's not just like, hey, today I don't feel like doing anything. I'm going to watch Netflix.
I wish. And then like, I was talking to my sister today and I was like, you know, like I feel kind of tired. I don't know. It's like the weather or something. She's like, maybe you should take a day or two off. I'm like, what do you like a day or two? Like, it's just, even if I do, it's like, I'll just be watching a YouTube video and I'll be like, oh, wow, look at that. Look at how she edited that. Like, that's pretty cool.
But you found that point where you enjoy it. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So you know you enjoy it when it just consumes your whole life.
All right, guys, so it is time for one of our games. We're going to start with the game This or That. Rachel, the way this goes is very easy. We are going to give you 2 choices, and you're going to tell us which one you choose and, well, whatever reasoning there is behind your choice. Okay. So, are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
Right, so you begin.
I begin. All right. So it's this or that. A lipstick or what do you say?
Lip gloss.
Lip gloss.
Oh, lipstick. Lip gloss just gets all over your hair. It's
so very
like
clear for you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right. Chinese men or Western men?
Oh, I would have to say Western, just because of personality. I haven't met a Chinese person that are like personality really clicked. So
you haven't had the experience yet. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not because of the appearance. It's just because I've never had like a connection.
All right.
Hasn't clicked.
Okay. One child or large family?
Large family. I come
for
from
you.
Yeah.
You want to have a large family.
How many are you?
I'm 5. I'm the middle child. I've got 4 girls, 1 boy, and my mom says I'm the middle child.
Oh, you're the middle, right?
Hey.
I'm sorry. Am I not allowed to do that?
You're the middle, though.
Block it out.
You're the sandwich.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. You are? Are you? Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
My turn. Dear Lord. All right. Save or spend?
Save. I save. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Indulge every now and then, but save.
Yeah. I mean, besides what I save, I put back into my channel.
What are you saving for?
I don't know. I have a fear, like an irrational fear of like getting hit by a car, like or like falling. Like I mean, I've broken my hand, I've broken my nose. I'm just full of accidents.
Insurance, basically.
Yeah, just like a little.
So you're saving for medical expenses.
Yes, and my large family.
It's not so expensive in China, though, no?
Yeah. No, it's not.
All right. The next one is Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
All the way.
What the?
You watch? Yeah, you've been binging.
But I mean, generationally speaking, Bruce Lee was not your time, so why the choice?
I think because I am part like Cantonese, like so Hong Kong had like a huge Bruce Lee influence as well.
But so does Jackie Chan.
I would say like because I was born in 1995, so I think I did kind of hit that little peak of Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee is very, very Cantonese. Like, I think that, when I grew up, it was, Cantonese was what people thought is Chinese in the world.
Exactly.
And that's because of Bruce Lee.
Movies, yeah. And did you know that Bruce Lee is the most recognized man in the world? So like you
For
can show,
real?
yeah.
Huh. Really?
Yeah.
Makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
Right?
I thought it was me. Okay.
It's
my
your
turn. All right, sorry. Germany or USA?
Oh, wow.
Given the fact that you just received...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my dad's German, my mom's American,
Right.
and I was born and raised China. So you think about, what would I say? I've never been to Germany. I have a German passport. I've never been to Germany.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm not really close with my German grandparents. So I'm really just a fake German. So I have a German passport and an American passport. And if you add up all the time I've spent in the US, it's probably been around 3 months of my whole life.
Wow.
So,
So this is a stupid question, basically.
I would say US because I've
USA.
actually been there.
All right. America.
Yes.
All right. Wine or beer or spirit?
Oh, beer.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which one?
yeah.
Oh, I would say either Qingdao or a Guinness, one or the other, depending on which one I want to cleanse my palate with between my between my binge eating.
All right. Cantonese or Mandarin?
I would say Mandarin. Yeah. Even though I grew up here, my Cantonese is very local, so it's like it'll sound like I would say like a Yorkshire accent. So you have you know what I mean? How you have like different accents.
Very localized.
Yeah. So it's like a comparison would be like a Yorkshire accent. Like it sounds really bad. When I go to Hong Kong and I speak my kind of Cantonese, they can hear like immediately.
How did you get your Cantonese? You were born in Hong Kong, you moved to the mainland, you grew up in the mainland, right?
Yeah.
And I guess some kids get it from IE, which is like
a maid,
an au pair,
nanny,
maid.
yeah.
But how did you get it? Because schools is Mandarin, right?
Yeah, so classes would be in Mandarin, but all my classmates would speak Cantonese in recess. So that's kind of how I got it.
That's how you got some Cantonese, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one, or do you have another one?
No, I have another one.
All right, so one before the last one. One piece or bikini?
Oh, bikini.
Bikini.
Yeah.
Okay. The Chinese girls think the same?
No.
I don't think so.
No?
No. Yeah. It would be like a 10% in bikinis.
Yeah,
maybe
you- Oh,
really?
less at
Okay.
the beach. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. It's like
Is it a generational thing? Do you think that
change?
in time
Yeah.
they're being more open and more accepting of a bikini?
Yeah. Like a couple months ago, I was on the beach and I saw for the first time in real life a burkini. Do you know what that is? It's like a wetsuit and a balaclava.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And yeah.
In China, you
so
saw it,
I think
yeah.
that's what they call it, burkini, right?
mean,
I'm not throwing
Like the
racial
burqa,
slur.
the burqa and
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Chinese have that it's to protect the skin.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so this girl was like swimming against the current with this like balaclava facing on and it was like falling off so she couldn't breathe. through
Oh,
it.
Lord.
It was creepy.
This is,
I used to do triathlon, and they were ladies who do the swimming and the whole thing, and I'm like, you're never gonna.
This
PR.
is actually really crazy in China. It's something we don't even think about anymore because
Yeah.
we've been here so long, all of us. The skin thing, the women, they want to be white, and foreigners is like, oh, we like
Want to be
tan.
tan?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
really
that's
weird.
misconception.
crazy.
Like white is healthy for us. Tan
Yes,
is
as many
wealthy.
times as I said
Yeah.
it to Chinese, oh no, this is nice, you're dark, it's really
Yeah.
nice color. No, it doesn't help. They think it's.
But I think that like going back to that stems from the fact that only peasants would work out in the farm, so
yes,
they'd be
yes.
tan.
And in the West, only rich people had enough money to not be in an office and enjoy the
And
sun.
yeah, exactly.
But you
so
would
it's so funny.
it's the opposite. But you would think it would change, right?
I think it is
With time.
changing, but slowly.
Very
Yeah.
slowly.
All right, let me
Yeah.
finish then. Chinese school or international school? Because you tasted both.
I would say Chinese school. I would say, yeah.
Everybody complains about Chinese school. Why
Oh
would
my
you
God.
say
But
that?
you think, first of all, you are 25 now.
Yeah.
You graduated from Chinese school, 7-8 years ago,
Yeah.
right? You think it's not the same now? Start from the end, I guess,
I would say I think it is the same now. So why I would, okay, so I think this kind of goes back to the fact that I'm really reaping what my parents sowed as far as putting me into China, into Chinese school and all of that. So I met a bunch of kids that were doing an intern here, and they were Americans just about to go to MIT. They're super smart, doing an internship for one of my dad's clients. And the client was like, hey, Rachel, you mind taking them out, showing them around? And I was like, yeah, great. So I was taking them around and having like conversations with them. They're like, oh yeah, so this is our first time outside of the US. And I mean, I couldn't have like a proper conversation with them. And they were like, oh, connect. So yeah, I couldn't connect. And I was like, oh yeah, so I just came back from Tokyo. And they're like, well, isn't that like in Cambodia or something? I was like, what? It was so weird. And it was like a really weird weekend for me. And I went up to my dad and I was like, man, Dad, like I was like 16 at the time, translated for anything you can think of. Like I was doing translations back, and I was I just graduated high school, about to go to university on a scholarship super early. I finished university within 2 years because I speak Mandarin. I would say every cent that I've made my whole life was because I spoke Mandarin and Cantonese. So I became really grateful for that. And then when I met those kids, that's when it like hit me, and I was like, oh my gosh, that could have been me. I could have been that typical American.
Yeah, that hasn't had any experience in the world.
Yeah, like I could fly to Thailand for the weekend and come back, and I don't think that would be really
You
weird.
guys used to do that a lot, right?
Yeah.
For racing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another thing that we haven't talked about. Your family is a lot.
We have
really
a huge background. Yeah.
Everybody who does social media and videos talks about burnout.
Right.
Is it a thing for you?
Yeah, I think it is.
Have you experienced it?
I have. And I think that I'm on the cusp of getting it again. Like, I think a lot of burnout happens when it's like, let's say 11/11, which is like Black Friday for in China.
One of the
many Black Fridays.
Yeah.
And that gets really tiring because you're just filming sponsored after sponsored after sponsored. And that was like kind of a struggle for me last year, it was like kind of like my first double 11, like Black Friday, and my first like huge season, and I was like filming 3 videos a day. It's like posting 7 videos a week. And it was just, I mean, I sound like I'm complaining, but it was like sponsored content after sponsored content. And it was like, it just took a toll on me and my channel. So people started unsubscribing. So because I was like, had 500,000 followers on like Bilibili. And then I was getting like 10,000 views, 20,000 views, 30,000 views, just because it was just like a really crappy sponsorship that I was honestly, I'll admit now, like I probably sold out a lot.
You
like,
flooded.
Yeah, I sold out. Yeah, I sold out. And I didn't even think, I was like, this is the norm. This is what everyone's doing. This is what, like this person's doing and that person's doing. And I was just like, wait, this is not sustainable. Besides the fact that I got so tired filming all of it, it just took a toll on my channel because I was like doing all these sponsorships and it wasn't actually genuine.
You got to learn from experience. It sounds like you
learned. Yeah, for sure. Like now I'm like double what? Double nut?
It's okay.
Double
I can say no to some more the money.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, you as a KOL or as a vlogger, you honestly don't make that much money your first year. Like you would be lucky if you broke even. And I wouldn't say like, don't just think about equipment as your investment.
Sure.
It's also your time,
Yeah.
Have you put a price on your time?
Well, I would say the only thing I could compare it to was when I was younger, I would do a lot of translation jobs and I would charge like, I don't know, 200 RMB, 300 RMB an hour. So that's like
teaching.
Yeah. Like, so if that's the only like hourly service that I would kind of think about it. So
yeah. Do you at what point, how many followers or however you want to describe it, you're hiring a team?
Yeah.
At what point?
I know, like, so it's really funny because I found that if anyone's starting anything, I would say it's good to have like little milestone goals, like little small things. Don't think like when I have 1 million followers, it's more like, oh, like the first video that I get 100,000 views on, I'm going to buy a new camera so I don't look green.
And also you got something to
my camera was so wrong.
Yes.
My camera, oh my gosh, now looking back at my first video, it's like I looked green. And I don't know where I got the confidence to post that video, but it's up there.
But you did, and you got to 100,000 followers.
Yeah,
green.
Yeah. So then I got that follower and then that many. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Now I'm going to start, now I'm going to have a goal. When I hit 100,000 followers, I'm going to hire an editor. And then I think I hit 100,000 followers like within a week of getting that new camera. And I was like, whoa, like that was like, it just boom.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, where do I get in like a someone to help me edit,
Right.
like, and then get a new camera. And
The
so like,
KPIs. This is business.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
like targets. You need targets.
exactly.
Yeah.
You need like little targets that you can actually reach. And so that's why I think someone who is doing it to get all this free PR, all of this like money and sponsorships, it's just not going to happen, because you have to first have it sustainable.
Right.
You have to be committed to it.
Right.
All right. You produce a lot of content. Do you consume a lot of content? For example, who do you follow?
Okay. So I love following funny accounts. Like I follow only, like, I mean, as far as YouTube goes, Casey Neistat, David Dobrik, like those, the general ones. David Dobrik I really enjoy, just because it's like straight to the point. You know that when you watch it for 4 minutes and 21 seconds, you are going to be doing nothing but like watching their
Paying
content.
attention.
Yeah, paying attention. Yeah. But it's like, if it's something where I want to learn something, or like even for a review, I'll go to Casey Neistat, or just see like what he's up to. So those are the kind of people that I prefer to follow, like funny ones and stuff like that. I don't really watch that many tutorials now.
What
like,
do you recommend to a foreigner? Most foreigners don't speak Chinese, right?
Yeah.
Now they hear about Bilibili, right?
Yep.
After finding you and watching you, right? What do you recommend a foreigner can watch on Bilibili? Like, is there any English?
Yeah, there are some English vloggers. I mean, The Rock just
The Rock
opened
is
up
on
a
Bilibili?
Bilibili. Yeah,
Dwayne
Dwayne
Johnson?
The
He's
Rock
great.
Johnson.
He's
Yeah,
great.
I think
yeah.
Kevin Hart did as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bilibili?
Because I follow
He hit
Shaq
a
on
million.
Darwin.
Yeah,
I follow Shaq on Darwin, and
like
I mean, China.
Will
it's
Smith
big.
is
Of
on.
course,
Of
China.
course,
Yeah.
everybody wants a piece of a cake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
So there is some stuff. They probably just have Chinese subtitles.
Dwayne Johnson is on, and yeah, I was like, he had 1 million followers in like, I think after like 3-4 days or a week
for
or
sure.
something like
Right.
that.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
How does it feel competing with people like that? I mean,
I
for example, when Will
know.
Smith came to YouTube, I was like,
Get
it's
outta
not
here."
fair. You know,
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
But the way to think of it, I think would just be like, he probably paid his dues. You know what I mean? He's paid his dues.
Yeah.
He's
yeah,
been
he's
acting
allowed
a
the red
long
carpet.
time.
He's
Yeah.
allowed the red carpet.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just think, oh well, look at this person swooping in, and I think that he's probably paid his dues.
Can
in
a
some way.
KOL on Chinese social media go further? Can you go on TV?
Oh yeah, so that's the question. Like, I think that's a really interesting question. It's like, all these people can go on, like these famous superstars can go on to Douyin
Right,
and all
Bilibili,
like,
yeah.
so
there's
what
like a-
about so you can go over this line, but you're not allowed to go over that line, like so where does it end or start for a KOL? There have been some really successful KOLs, like, I mean, take David Dobrik for example. He was just on the Late Night Show. I think it was Jimmy Fallon. So it's like, I think that they are starting to accept it a
crossing
little bit
over.
more. Yeah, but I think it's going to take a while. Yeah.
Mm.
China's starting to do it a little bit more.
How long do you think you're gonna do this? I mean, what is your plan for like 5 years from now? I mean, just stay on, get 100 million followers, make some
and
good
just like
money.
that, it becomes an adult content.
know.
And have someone else writing your content, you just show up, and
I was like, I was talking to it with my sister, and she was like, "Why don't we just get a sugar daddy?" She's like, "Why are we out here scamming and jamming, trying to make our fortune?
because you gotta make it your own.
Yeah, right?
You feel good,
Why
right?
are we out here? What are we gonna film? Oh my gosh, we gotta hire staff. How do you get insurance for staff? Like, what are the benefits? Like,
Social security.
yeah.
I mean, you're young. How old are you, if you don't mind me
I'm
asking?
25.
Yeah,
turning
so-
yeah.
Right. So I mean, I guess you know the answers to what you just said, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you want to make it on your own.
Exactly.
I'm sure.
But I mean, honestly, just saying, like, my life would probably be a lot easier. Like, that's why it's like, you have to really want it. You have to really enjoy
Right.
it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really funny. But yeah, it's a huge commitment.
Right. I mean, I think a lot of, like I said, a lot of people want to be YouTubers. I think I mentioned before my daughter.
Mhm.
So when I asked her what she wanted to do when she was maybe 9, I want to be a YouTuber. So I was a bit surprised, but I think it's different than before. It makes me think, like, what your dad says about it.
Oh yeah. My dad, he doesn't like. He's never commented.
He's super
The older
private.
school,
yeah. No, he was I think when I told him I was starting to do a video, he was very encouraging.
Okay.
Not to the point where he was like, "Let me help you hold the camera. Oh my gosh, that's great. Like, let me teach you a little bit about cameras that I know." Like, it wasn't to that point,
Right.
but it was to a point where he was not discouraging.
Right.
He was encouraging, but not to like help me. And like, I would say that's the same thing for my mom and stuff like that. She's gonna hate that I mentioned this, but she's gonna hate. She's like, "Rachel, you just can't let it go, can you?" But I remember the first ever vlog that I did on my channel. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just holding around a camera on a stick, going around. So what are you doing right now? You're
Right.
chopping
I know what this is doing.
vegetables. Yeah, I'm like, you chopping vegetables. Oh, that's so cool. Dad, what are you doing with the turkey? You know, camera in someone's face. They don't know
Right.
what they're doing.
Right.
Super awkward. And I remember that my mom and my sister made like a kind of face when I had the camera in front of
Right.
them. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like they're not supportive. Like why would they do that? That is so, because it was so hard for me to hold up a camera in my own face and force people in my
Right.
family to do that.
Right.
So when I kind of saw that reaction, I was just like, oh, like, man, I feel so bad. Like it like kind of hurt, you know?
The other day, I got my daughter to cry. I got her crying. Yeah, bad. But I told her,
What?
I told her, you say you want to be a YouTuber, you're not doing anything about it.
Aw.
Make a video already. It can be shitty. It doesn't matter. Just
Send her
make
over
a
to
video.
me.
Make a video and show me. And and she got it. And I was like, Zen, your brother, he'd be YouTuber way before you because he's energetic and
Oh,
But
yeah.
daddy.
And she went to the room and cried. And Michelle came and said, you need to help her. You need to show her. She wants to.
Be-
And then we went and she did a dancing thing,
Okay.
Darwin and stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw
think,
that one.
yeah, I think people are different, right? But I mean, for me, it's different. Like I'm trying to make. I was like, you want to be a YouTuber? Great. You know? There is a famous YouTuber kid, Ryan.
Oh,
All right,
Ryan's World.
Zen loves him.
Really?
Zen loves him. He's 7. He loves him.
I was
He
wondering
loves him.
who actually watches that.
Oh, he watches it all the time. This guy is a billionaire or something. I
Oh
mean,
my, he's like
7 years old?
he's like
he's probably.
he's like no,
12
he's like
now,
no, he's
10,
like
10.
I think he had the most viewed video. It was like 1 billion views on him just at a water park.
My son, since he was like 4, he's been watching Ryan, like,
my
opening
gosh.
stuff. And in the beginning, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you watching this? And now I got him psyched because when they were in the US for a couple of months recently, and he got a Ryan has merchandise.
Oh my
Merchandise.
gosh. Of
He
course
has
he
a
does.
toothbrush and everything. And now I got him psyched. Every night he goes to sleep. I was like, and I said,
Daddy, I wanna make a
said,
video.
Zen, one day Ryan's gonna buy your toothbrush. And he's like, yeah.
Gas
and now
him
now he
up.
gets to about like what color the toothbrush is gonna be, and I think this is great
Oh,
because
wow,
it's
yeah.
getting
You put him
psyched
in
up.
dreaming his head.
Yes.
And that's
you know,
great.
it's also
Yes.
also it goes back to the visualization. Like
Yes.
he's visualizing
Yes.
it, which means that he's
Exactly.
like it's implanted.
Exactly.
He's gonna start doing
So
it.
I think that's the world today, and if they want to be YouTubers or any of the platforms,
yeah.
we should encourage them because that's the future.
You know, I think when also stepping back and looking from outside, it looks super easy. You know, like people just think like, oh, it's super easy to become a vlogger and stuff like that. And I think that takes away from, let's say, someone who is Danny or Zen, like who thinks that it's super, like it's not a big deal to do it.
Right.
And they think that it's so easy to do
Right,
it. And
and
they
it's
just think,
not.
oh, well, they're already doing it. Why can't I? Like, it's
Right.
a little bit discouraging, I would say.
So I think being a bit hard on them, it's because of that.
Yeah.
Like this is hard work.
Yeah.
Very hard work.
Yeah.
And I think kids, they should start early.
Yeah.
They should understand
Yeah.
hard work early. And you know
Yeah.
how it is. And that maybe takes us to the next subject, growing up here.
Yeah. I mean, I was
foreign-
translating. I was translating at factories. I mean, it's probably child labor, but I was translating for some people that would do import export in China, and my dad would just introduce, oh yeah, this is my daughter, speak perfect Mandarin, and I would be like, oh, you want translation? I do translation.
Right. No, but I mean, also, like, I think nowadays, it's privileged, right? You're in China,
Yeah.
you're a Westerner in China, a
Yeah.
child growing up here. I think my biggest fear is that they grow up privileged and like assholes, basically.
Yeah.
Feeling deserved.
Yeah, and they live in these gardens with guards. I didn't have that when I was a kid. They go to private
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah.
You went to public school, which is
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
I
I
think
did.
it's great. I don't know if you can still do it now. I think it's more difficult.
I think it is. Yeah. For foreigners, it was only like a select few, like 3 would accept
right.
foreigners. at
Three
the time.
foreigners. But
No,
you're-
sorry, 3
No, 3 schools.
would
Three schools
accept
would
foreigners.
accept
You're in
foreigners.
one.
So I come from a really large family, and I think that's kind of what kept me a little bit sane, was that we're all going through it. Like 5 of us kids were going through it. It wasn't just me.
Right.
So then I think as far as like Danny would go, like I think it's probably more difficult for her because she only has her younger brother.
Right.
You know what I
It's
mean?
a little different now. But yeah, let's talk about this more after the break.
Sure.
All
Be right back.
Now it's time to play our game called What's Up With This, where we looked through your social media and we found something that we want to get more context about. I will show you a picture and you give us some context. Yes. All right. So first I'm going to show you a picture from your WeChat. I think it's from a couple of years ago at least. You can tell us exactly.
Oh my gosh, I never post on my WeChat.
It's okay.
Like I got so many media platforms I got to keep up on.
No ex-boyfriend, so don't worry. This is the one.
Oh, okay. That is a really old photo. Wow.
Is it? How old?
We went back a couple of years.
Yeah, that's probably like 6 years ago.
Is this like
And that's my brother and my sister's in the middle. That's me on the way left in the denim jacket. And that was Chinese New Year. One of my family friends was like, hey, we're having like this big Chinese New Year dinner. And we ended up going and drinking like this like really weird soaked white wine. It had like rats soaked in it because it's like it's like a baijiu
with rats.
Yeah, it's like rats in it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was like it was weird.
You're really local.
That was me sober.
So this is outside. This is outside in a place.
No, it's indoors. That's how big his house is. He has a freaking tree in the house.
Whose house?
My friend's house.
Your friend's
Real
house.
estate
Okay.
tycoon,
All right.
not my house. Yeah.
Okay. So this was Chinese New Year.
Yeah, and he just had a
few years
decided
ago
to put a tree in his
with
house.
your brother and sister. All right. The second one is not from social media.
Ooh.
It's from your media.
It's from our media. Yeah. All right.
Let's show it up in front of the camera. Let's put it over here.
Wow.
Get it on this camera.
And I remember this
go.
moment. I think I took the picture.
I think you did.
Yes.
And this was outside
Yeah.
One for the Road.
Yes.
Wow, look at me. There's our free braces right there on my team. Look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
So this is, I would say, this is like our 5th year here.
It says the year. What does it say there up there?
It says,
the year 2009, 2006, 2006 September.
So we're there 4 years in China, and this is like looking pretty fresh.
And all 5 of you. Look at Christian there.
Yeah, look at he's pulling off that Batman shirt and that mullet.
Yeah, and yeah.
Yeah.
So do you remember that?
I do remember it.
remember
We
that.
actually have a picture of this at our house, like in our closet.
Okay.
So this is a cover that we did for Here Magazine.
Yeah.
And we were interviewed as well about our life in China.
You can open it.
Not
Yeah,
much different from our interview right now.
Yeah, right. I remember coming to your home. To get some photos from you. I think there are photos there with like the
wow, it's like, and also like you see how different how much your magazine has changed.
Yes,
you know, like taking out these old editions. The one before that one.
Yeah, here.
Going native, yeah.
Right, going native.
There you go.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Oh, there's the Chaltian uniform.
Yep.
Who's that? Adriana?
Renee
That's
and the
Adriana,
go-karts.
Renee, my second sister, us doing go-karts.
Right.
There's me, boom, doing my morning exercise.
Right.
Morning exercise.
Yeah.
That was.
Oh my gosh, this is like a bunch of like
your first cover.
memories floating back. Yeah, first cover.
Yeah, I remember that moment. Yeah, I took that photo. I didn't do a great job, but I mean, it looks nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's 2006. So
I have to
14
say
years ago.
something.
Yeah.
Your family became like an emblem of Dongguan foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean,
Mine.
you probably did not
Yeah.
know, but in my mind, we're like, those are the Dongguan expat family.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
true.
I would
It's
I
true.
would
Because
say
of this
so as
magazine.
well. I would say so. We've been here when there were no other foreigners. So we
Right.
were here straight and family. You know, there were like 1 or 2 businessmen as like foreigners that are around here, but there was definitely no full-time expat family here.
Right.
So I would say so, yeah.
But also because I think a lot because everybody know your family as the 5 kids that went to Chinese school.
Yeah.
You
We did
know?
have that. Yeah, for sure.
And you know, as we know, most foreign kids don't go to Chinese school, so it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think we definitely paid our dues, and I think it's really great to see it coming back now.
And this was What's Up With This. All right, so I guess we're talking about your childhood now.
Yeah.
So like I said in the beginning, you grew up here in the mainland, and you went to public school, Chinese public school.
Yep.
Right? right across from your house, right?
Yeah, so I went to that public school and high school, because like I think it's around 6th grade you have to go to middle school, right?
Right,
So our
middle
middle
school.
school, going into middle school, my mom was checking out different schools and like what our options were, and I think it was around 12,000 RMB a year, a semester, and that would be like what, 2,000?
Public school?
Yeah.
Okay.
But-
Almost
but-
$2,000 a year.
Yeah,
Back then less.
Yeah, it was-
1,500.
yeah. So, and the school actually said, well, if you're coming in with 5 kids and you guys are willing to pose on our billboard, we'll give you a discount.
Right.
So that's what we did.
Wow,
We
okay.
smiled, and that's how we got our
I
braces.
do the same
That's
thing
all
with
I'm
my
saying.
kids. I do the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. We got 5 kids braces for like 3 years each, and we got it all free. I still get free dental cleaning. when I go to the
He's still laughing.
dentist.
I think
Why? Like it's like I go back to like my daily, like thinking about those, like having that American typical life.
you
that
are
I-
already a KOL.
Yeah.
Back
Exactly.
then, you know. Yeah.
So yeah, we were like negotiating.
So
from
why
young.
why public school? I mean, okay. So I said before, I got 2
Okay.
kids, right? And
Yeah.
they're born in China, and they're going to Chinese school, but private schools,
yeah.
right? And even that is maybe a bit crazy now, right?
Yeah.
Most foreigners send their kids to international schools.
Yeah.
But it's even more public school, right? It's
Yeah.
the most hardcore Chinese school.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
So I think that my dad, I mean, I'm not really sure about why private, like not local Chinese school, like why private or a public. But I know that my dad was really against us going to international school because he was like, you're here to learn Mandarin and you're here to like, and so he kind of set that, like sailed that ship years and years
And what
ago.
he didn't tell you is like, oh,
Yeah.
it costs too much money. too.
Yeah, maybe.
Had you,
right?
had you gone to a different school, I had not met you. Because if you don't remember, I used to be your
Oh
teacher.
yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Well,
at
you used to sit in my
Taotian.
class. You used to sit in my
Which
class.
school? When was that?
Taotian.
Taotian, yeah.
Taotian.
So like in the public school, in that
Yeah,
school?
yeah. I used to teach there, and whenever I didn't know what to say, like, Rachel, can you translate what I'm
Yeah.
trying to tell these 40 kids?
Yeah.
That's how we
He
met.
just
Really?
kind of gave away how old he is.
So
Not an issue.
So you went to public school, and you have 5,
Yeah.
4 sisters
Yeah.
and 1 brother, right? And all of you went to public school,
Yeah.
Chinese public school, and
We got into so much trouble. Like,
right.
for
And you were the
example,
only foreigners.
we were the only
Always,
foreigners,
like
yeah.
yeah.
So my mom and my dad don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese because they were like, we have 5 translators.
Yes.
So they really made us translate. So they would go to parent-teacher conferences, and the teachers, like even the English teachers, had really poor English.
I can
at
see
that
where
time.
this is going, but yeah. Okay.
So my mom and my dad would be a little bit more clever than we thought. They would be like, okay, so Rachel, you translate for your brother Christian, and Christian, you translate for
Oh my
Rachel.
God,
So they'll
that's
do a
trouble.
little swapperoo in case that we, like
Adjust the version.
Yeah, yeah. So what we would do, we just came up with deals. Be like, Christian, you say, like, you translate a little bit better for my academic scores, and I'll do a little bit better. So we would just do like, they'd be like, Rachel hasn't done homework this whole semester, and my brother would be like, she can improve on her homework.
did your parents figure it out in the end?
No, they've never, and now I can
Okay.
now I
Is
can
this a
joke
scoop?
about it because it's like,
They know now.
yeah, they
Yeah,
know
okay,
now.
okay.
Yeah, they know now.
Right.
After I got my master's in law, like it's funny now.
So okay. So you went to public school. I mean, those back then. I mean, is it also like now 50 kids in a class, 60 kids in a class?
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right. So you were the only white kids there.
Exactly.
Right. And how about, did you get bullied?
Yeah.
Okay, so go.
Yeah, no. So I think that I don't know. I never got bullied.
You
I
never
never
got
did.
bullied,
I
okay.
got like, I don't even know how to say it, like the opposite of bullying. Like I got
I was
praised
what I
and-
was
yeah.
about to say. You guys got privilege. I remember you guys could run out of the classroom because
Yeah.
you had to, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
we were so spoiled, and we got away with a lot.
But I did hear, because my kids go to Chinese schools, and I did hear, I mean, I agree with you. They're privileged, right? But I heard that maybe later you get some white kids in Chinese school get bullied. So you never experienced that?
Never.
Never.
Yeah.
Any of your sisters or?
No, I think that, and like, I wouldn't even say, like, I would just say, no, we never.
Because
never.
you're different, or
Yeah.
maybe you're just this personality that never even noticed it.
I think they were just like, oh, look at these foreigners, they're here, and they were just so in awe of us. And I think the fact that we did speak Mandarin did kind of show them that we're not here to just mess around. Like we're in the culture.
I think that was a huge factor of inclusion. Yeah, not exclusion, or You look different,
Yeah.
but you were the same because you
Yeah.
ate the same.
Same.
You did the same thing. So yeah.
Right.
I was having a conversation with my friend from Australia. He's Asian, but grew up in
Right.
Australia, and he was saying how he was the only Asian kid at his school, and he got bullied a lot for being the only one. And I was like, well, that's like the opposite, but I got like I was really popular.
How about friends? I mean, as foreigners,
Yeah.
but you spoke Chinese, of course. I
Yeah.
guess your friends were Chinese.
They were, yeah. So
Yeah.
growing up, there weren't many expat families
Right.
that were my age. So I didn't have like a lot of like foreign friends that were in the same situation. And if there were, like I can think of like 2 or 3, but they all went to international school. So they didn't really get what I was talking about with my school and like my problems, stuff like that. So I think we did get the best of both worlds. You know, we got the Chinese school, but we got really privileged. So like we didn't have to do homework.
But
Like-
did you see did you okay, you got the best of both worlds. Now you understand that. Did you always realize that, or it took you time? I mean, or
I
any of your
think-
sisters also?
I think we
mean,
realized how much we can get away with really early on.
Right.
Like we would tell our teachers, "Oh, sorry, we have to do a visa run, and
Right.
we can't go to school tomorrow."
That's the thing. Did you get a student visa back then? Or
Yeah,
you
we did.
You
We
did
got
get a
stu-
student
yeah.
visa.
Yeah.
Right. So already back then.
Yeah, and that was like they were really free with it. They were just like, "Oh yeah, here's a 4-year student visa, 3-year student visa," and it was like really easy to get. And yeah,
Hey, we just asked you this and that about single one child family or large family. You mentioned you would like to have a large family as well.
Yeah.
Would you send them to any international school or Chinese school?
Chinese school.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
for sure. Okay, so I went to international school for a year. I got a scholarship to go there. And when I went there, because it's so insanely expensive that it's just like, my parents were like, we're not even considering it. Even with the scholarship, my parents were like, nah, this is still like triple the amount we would pay for your Chinese school. Then the school came back and said, okay, well, how about you just pay for boarding?
Yeah.
So then that was like when my parents were like, okay, fine. If it's the
Let's
same
give it a
as
go.
Chinese school, like we're not
You
paying
try.
a single cent more. So yeah, so then I went to the international school, and it was just so spoiled, I would say. You know, people like the kids were like, oh my gosh, the Wi-Fi is off. Let's protest. And they would
And
just
I guess the studying was less intense, right?
yeah, they
less
had
homework.
They're more on like being creative and being like self-motivated and stuff like that.
Right.
And a lot of them are kids of diplomats or like really
Right.
big companies and
Right.
like CEOs' children. And
Right.
they were really, I would say, spoiled. Like, oh, like who bought the newest MacBook and stuff like that. But then you go to China education and you think, well, okay, there's no electronics allowed. So it's a really different type of education. And I would say if you're here to learn Mandarin, the only way you can do it for your kid is to go to Chinese school.
All right. And then you went on to university in Xiamen.
Yeah.
And you got a scholarship. Tell us a little bit about the choice of, both university, career, and how did the scholarship happen?
So I had an option of 3 universities. One was too close, one was too far. And I was like, okay, I want the weekends with my parents if I would choose to. So I decided Xiamen, which is beautiful. It's like an island. It's the closest point to Taiwan of China. If that's like a little reference. So there's a lot of fisherman history behind it. And it was just only starting to become a tourist destination and a popular place. So I chose Xiamen because it was just really close and beautiful. And there was like bullet train back and forth. So I chose my bachelor because actually as a foreigner going to university here, there aren't that many options as far as bachelor degrees. So a lot of people choose education like ESL, so Chinese second language. So you can learn teaching Chinese as a second language as your bachelor. Then that was what my sister did. Then I chose to do international business and economics. But all of these programs are in language. So even though I studied in international economics, I don't get a economics degree. It's a Chinese language degree
With
in
a-
economics and business
okay.
background.
Now, the
if that
Xiamen
makes sense.
University, it's known for having a lot of foreign students,
Yeah, and
right?
yeah,
But
they
not
have
like
a
you,
lot of-
not
yeah.
people that grew up here.
They do a lot of exchange programs
Right.
with like Italian universities and like German
So a
universities.
lot of Westerners there. But what do
Yeah.
they study? I mean, they study Chinese.
So because they
I
just
guess.
do their year abroad,
Right,
you know what I mean? Like
right.
they do like a year abroad where they have to go
Right,
abroad and
right.
study. So that's what they do. So it's not a bachelor.
When your classes were in Chinese or in English?
So my bachelors were all in Chinese until I did my master's, which was in English. And that was the first time in my whole life I've studied in English. It was so weird because it's a Chinese law professor lecturing you in English I'm like, I don't get this.
And before you talked about the scholarship, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you said something about the quota. That was very interesting, right?
Yeah. So what Chinese scholarships do is it's called the CSC, China Scholarship Council. So if you guys are interested, you guys can go ahead and search that. And it's a great scholarship. Full payment of your tuition, insurance, books, and a monthly stipend. So for your bachelor, it would be, I think it's around 2,300, which is like if you're living at the dorms and you're a student and
That's
you don't,
enough.
yeah, it's really enough. And I know some people who spend 600 RMB and then save the rest for like a travel, like a trip. So
students in the US, you think you're crazy right now.
I know
but
they probably do, but it's like it's a really good. I mean,
It's enough a
I think
beer.
they're crazy because they're going to college in
Right,
the US, paying
right.
what, like
Getting
With what their
humongous
parents-
loans.
student
all what their
loans
parents
until
saved all
they're
their lives,
30.
yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to. I actually did consider going to university in the U.S., but I was like, do I really want to come out of debt? And I tried to apply for a bunch of scholarships, and they're like, okay, so if you want to apply in Germany, where's your German graduation certificate? You need a German proficiency, and I'm like, oh, I've never been there, so I don't have that. So I apply.
9.
So then I apply as an American to Germany, and then Germany goes, wait, where's your SAT scores? I'm like, okay, so I can't do that. So it was like my
So
whole
this-
nationality.
This
So
scholarship though to
Yeah,
study
sorry.
here, you got that right, and you said there is a quota, and
Yeah.
and that is not fully
Utilized.
utilized.
Yeah.
And but you did study in Chinese, so like let's say there is an American from wherever in America, and they're thinking, oh, that's cool, I can send my kid there, or
Yeah.
but it's not like anyone from America can come and do that, right?
You
need,
can,
you need
anyone.
to speak. Is
Oh,
is it
okay.
in
So you do
Chinese?
have like
Oh.
a Mandarin proficiency test. So I don't know if you guys know, like a TOEFL or IELTS is like something like that.
Yeah.
So it's
Or
just
HSK.
it's called
The
HSK.
right.
So it's like it's just a proficiency test, and they go from level 1 to 6. So that's the levels that you
And
would
you're
get.
6 easily.
I'm 6. Yeah. So if you're actually really interesting fact is that if you get a 5 or 5 will get you enrolled into really good universities.
Okay.
6 you have to get a 6 now to graduate. So within your
by
university,
the end of your
time of
you have to
studies.
have a
But
valid
to be
6.
accepted, what
5.
do you need? You need 5.
Yeah.
So a kid in America
no,
doesn't
it-
speak Chinese, cannot do that.
No.
You need to
can't. You would have
be-
to have like some Mandarin. And I honestly, I wouldn't say it's difficult. I know I'm saying it as like someone that's grown up here, but I have some classmates that have like really, I would say, poor Mandarin, and they still got in. And so if you have level 6,
No, it can't be that poor.
no, but no, they would have level 5, and it's.
I think
it's
I'm HSK 1.
computer- Yeah. So, like HSK 1 or 2 would be pinging level.
Yes,
So
yes,
3,
exactly.
That's my level.
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. I took
3,
one just to
yeah.
try, and I passed.
Yeah.
Just get one.
Yeah, so there you go. So then
Yeah.
you like 3 would be starting to get into characters.
Right.
4 would be intermediate, and then 5
Right.
would be a little bit more in bed. Yeah.
Right.
So then if you get level 6, if you get enrolled with level 5 Mandarin, you can skip 2 years of university.
Right.
So you
Wow.
automatically start the 3rd year of your university.
It's even cheaper that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wanna ask this. I mean,
Sure.
so obviously, your Chinese language skills got you to places, got you things in life, right? It got you a scholarship
Yep.
in a way.
It got
it's
you
a-
an audience in
It's got you an audience. It's a big part of you being a KOL. It definitely
Yeah.
helped a lot, right?
Yeah.
So you grew up here, and you said you're not really connected with American kids. You've been here. You studied with Chinese kids. They were your friends. At what point did you or your sisters and brother what point did you understand, oh my God, this is something that is going to be so great. This is my treasures for life.
I would say, honestly, was that weekend I spent with those interns. Because, okay, like, I was sitting across the table from this girl, and I was like, oh, so, like, what are your, goals this year? And it was, like, a basic conversation. I was 16, and they're, like, 20. This girl took out a business card, and she just threw it on the table. And I was like, oh, okay. Because, in China, you have to use the 2 hands,
Yeah.
and it's, like, proper. But they were just so shocked by everything. Like, oh, my gosh, you can smoke indoors. Like, they were, like... everything. They were so shocked about. Like,
Right.
I remember we were taking a drink, like an open container drink, into the car, and they're like,
Yes.
no, I have to finish my drink. I'm like, what are you talking
No,
about?
just bring it outside.
Yeah, just get in the car,
Yes.
But it's like, it's all those little things, and it just shows me, I wouldn't say, like, I would just say be well traveled. You know what I mean? Like the more well traveled, the more you'll realize that. And I think that's kind of what that was the moment where I was like, oh my gosh, that could be me.
Yeah, it could have been me.
Yeah. And I think that was the click moment. And I went up to my dad and I was like, wow, I really appreciate it. Cause we all fought him tooth and nails. Like we were like, no, we are not doing this. Yeah. As kids, like where's our, grilled cheese sandwich for lunch? I don't want a fish head soup.
Right. My kids say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then you just get, that's what I was saying. So then you get like, and so I went up to my dad and he goes, like, I really appreciate like that ship has sailed so many years and it's finally coming back. And it was like, honestly, like a click in my head.
Then he went to the back and did.
Yeah.
So do you have any American friends now?
Yeah, I do. I do.
So you find ways to connect.
Yeah, I would say that it's pretty funny how it works in my family because like my younger sister Adriana, she kind of, I would say, has like a little bit of anxiety. I wouldn't say anxiety, but she struggles a little bit to hang out with foreigners because she's just so used to hanging out with Chinese people. She like gets it. She gets the culture and stuff like that. But then when it comes to like, having a conversation with a group of foreigners and they're talking about politics, it's like, wait, what do I start? Because in China, it's such taboo to speak about politics, So I think it is really natural, and I don't know how I kind of struck the balance between kind of hanging out with Chinese and also hanging out with foreigners. But I would definitely say that I'm more like a foreigner crowd now. You know what I mean?
You've seen China change.
Yeah.
We've seen China change.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that have actually impressed you the most or that seem remarkable to you in terms of...
I think we were discussing this earlier because I was like, I cannot, it's such a norm for me. It's so normal for me to like a plot of land. And like I took a walk this morning and I was like, I didn't know this building was here. Like it was like 6 months ago I walked past this way and there was no building here. And now it's like a full-on complex. And so
of course, China.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, that's such a norm for me. So I don't think that I can name a thing that's going to be like, wow, is it really like that there,
Every single time that I meet somebody and I tell them that I came here like 20 years ago, I sound like, look, Dongguan ended in Chifeng Park.
Yeah.
From Chifeng Park to Hojie, there was nothing.
Well, for example, the right across the street from us was a shoe factory, and now it's like a shopping plaza.
Right.
So
and
there you go.
That's still a long time ago, even.
That was like, that was like within. It was like 20 years ago.
You guys lived in the same place since...
Yeah, because my parents bought the house. So
like, the whole time?
Yeah, the whole time. Because we moved and then we lived at the complex across from us and we rented that apartment for a while. Right. And then my parents just decided, like at that time, the loans for banks here were like super cheap. Like basically we're giving them away free. And so, the exchange rate was awesome. We lived in a 4-bedroom apartment, the 7 of us in Hong Kong. And that was like, it was just not doing it, and it's really funny because my dad goes, my clients thought I was absolutely crazy for moving back 20 years ago. You tell people you're moving to China, they think you're crazy.
Right.
And so he said all of his
clients, crazy.
With the family.
And so all the his clients would be like, wow, Dirk, I can't believe you would do that. And then now his clients were like, wow, Dirk, I can't believe you had the foresight.
Yes.
And my dad's like, yeah. He's like, I didn't know. He's like, I had no idea.
Your parents, how do they feel? Like they want to stay here for the rest of their life? I mean, they don't speak the language, but
I know.
They
I've
love
been
it,
having
right?
that conversation with them. I'm like, where do you want to retire? Like, I'm starting to worry about them. But now, like, the house that we bought has like quadrupled in value, in price. So they could easily
go anywhere,
sell it, and like buy a house.
But
like
do they want to?
Exactly. I think that they were kind of used. They're really comfortable here,
right?
And like a lot of people will complain about the education, and I think a lot of people have mixed feelings about hospitals here. So like as far as like the hospital care, I've broken my hand, and I've broken my nose.
Yes.
But we can go in and out of hospital. Like we know where we're going, which doctor to see. But like a lot of Chinese people, a lot of Westerners have problems with Chinese.
A lot of the Western people that ended in a hospital, they're really worried about communication.
Yes.
I think that's the main thing.
Her parents has 5 translators.
Exactly.
Exactly. So that makes it easy.
But I mean, it's amazing because I guess they feel at home, right?
Yeah.
And they don't speak the language.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Where do you feel at home?
I would say Dongguan. I would say China. Like I said, I've never been to Germany, and US is like.
Do you think you'll spend the rest of your life here?
I think for at least another 5 years, I can see myself here. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Hey, I want to ask you one last thing because we're coming to the end of this podcast and this video. What would be your 3 tips or the best tip you could give to somebody who wants to get into social media here in China?
I would say, first of all, find your own niche, because the market is so saturated right now. So you do have to find your own unique point. Honestly, me being as a foreigner speaking Mandarin is already not good. And like, it's already still like saturated.
Yeah.
So find your own niche. And then I would say, take it really seriously, because no one else is going to take it seriously for you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Well, there's no third one. Just take it seriously.
All right. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you so much for, well, being with us. And,
I
well,
had a great time.
you know how it goes, right?
Yeah.
If you like the content of our channel, make sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified whenever there's a new video out. And, well, you can follow us on all the social media down here. And, well, until we see you again,
This was, of course,
China.
see you.
See ya.
See you guys.